Hi guys, so today we're not doing really much of a vlog, but more of a review, but also kind of just like a conversation. If you are a big book reader like me, then you will want to be staying to watch this video because I wrote down some books and their authors. And before you log off, this is no spoilers of books. I'm not giving any spoilers of books. I'm just suggesting you books that I've been reading or I have read before. And series? Yeah, series. It sounds like I'm saying hey Siri. Anyway, series of books that you would maybe want to read. So let me take a sip of water and I'll get through my list. Okay, let me actually get into the video now. So the type of books I would say I read is social media exposed, fantasy, and a little bit of romance. And also science fiction. Okay, number 1 on my list is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I just finished Arch Enemies today. This is from my public library. So I definitely suggest you go into your library in your town and get a library card because they are really helpful. This book is a science fiction dystopian, little bit of hint of romance, and it's kind of like, I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but it's kind of like Miraculous and Ladybug when in Cat Noir when they don't know their secret identities, and it's a two perspective book, so you get to read both perspectives. And this is the second book, and then I'm about to start the third book tonight, and then I already returned the first book. So that's my first little review. Okay, this is where my book infused from social media comes in, because my next book on my list is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This fandom is huge, and it's worth needing to be huge because there's such a good book. It's trio, just like the last book, but it's so good. So if you're into murder mystery, small town creepiness, teenage smart girl vibes, then you should definitely read that book. And it also just became a show, but I'm not in London or the UK, so I can't watch it until August 1st. But it's on Netflix on August 1st, so I'm going to be watching it. Okay, my next book on my little list is Michael Bay by Richard Paul Evans. So I usually like reading girls' perspectives in books, but this is actually a boy's perspective, and I think it's really good. I think the author did a really good job, emancipating. No, that's Abe Lincoln. Oh my gosh. Engulfing his awkward, puberty-ness. It's not weird. That's not even what it's about. But anyway, so basically this kid has powers. He's electrical powers, and you learn out how he's had them. And then this bad guy wants you. Wait, let me make sure. Yes, this bad guy. So it's really good. If you want to stick around for a while in a series, my posture is I would suggest Michael Bay. And it's science fiction, electrical. He travels kind of the world. I don't know why I keep doing this. And yeah, I think it's really good. This is a book that a lot of people know. Divergent. I've read the whole series, I think. Yeah, I did. Divergent, Insurgent, Allegiant. And Divergent is really good. It takes place in Chicago, and I used to live right outside of Chicago, so it was cool. And it's about this dystopian world, and you have to fit into these factions, and each faction has one feature, and then every single person has to fit into each faction. It's really interesting. The main character's name is Triss, and she has an interesting story, so I would suggest reading this. They did make movies, but I do not suggest watching the movies. I'm sorry, movies. But 4 is pretty hot, so maybe. But the movies did really bad. The third book, they were gonna make part 1, part 2. They never made part 2 because it got canceled. So the books are good though. That's my next book, Divergent. The next book series is called Hunger Games. Now everyone probably knows what that is, but you should read it. And if you already read it, read it again because it's so good. So Hunger Games takes place in a dystopian future where There's 12 districts, kind of like groupings like Divergent, but it's a bit more. And then years past, the capital is like this big where rich people live, and then the districts are poor people, and they have to like work. But the districts try to like fight back in this like dark ages. But the capital won, and then um, the capital like punishes the districts every year by holding a Hunger Games where they have 24 kids from like 12 to like 18 fight to the death for one victor. So it is kind of violent. So if you're not into that kind of book, I wouldn't suggest it. But if you are just interested in dystopian, a little bit of romance, and it takes place in the future. Well, that's what dystopian means. So obviously, but I own the second book, Catching Fire, and there is 4 movies. And the movies, unlike Divergent, are so good. PETA. Hi. And that's all you get from that. And then the next book I don't own, but it's the prequel to the Hunger Games. It's called Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. And in the Hunger Games, the president of the Capitol's name is Snow, Cornelius Snow, or I thought it was Cornelius. It's actually Coriolanus. My friend and I were watching the prequel movie. We are gonna keep calling him Cornelius, like Cornelius Fudge in Harry Potter. Anyway, so Coriolanus Snow. It's from his perspective as a high schooler, and it's super interesting. It's the 10th annual Hunger Games, and the first Hunger Games book takes place in the 74th. So a lot has changed, and it's really interesting to read. But I would suggest reading the first 3 trilogy: Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and then read the prequel. That's what I did. But the book, I feel like I read it and I wasn't paying attention. It is a slow burn book, which means basically the middle of the book is super boring. I'm just gonna put it out there. The middle of the book is super boring, and then the end of the book, it just like speeds so fast. And I read it when I was younger. I'm probably gonna reread it, but I didn't get. I was very confused. But then, oh my gosh, I watched the movie. The movie is probably my favorite movie of all time. I'm not even gonna lie. The villain arc makes so much more sense. So much more sense in the movie. So I would suggest reading the 3 Hunger Games original books, the prequel, then watching the movies, and then the prequel movie. Because the villain arc is so good. Thank you, Suzanne Collins, for making Hunger Games. I literally love you. Okay, my next book is called Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan. This is also a TikTok, Instagram book. This book is so good. I read it in like 4th or 5th grade. And then the book has like 7 or 6 maybe in the original series. And then they have a spin-off series that like I also read, but it's kind of confusing. Not really. I just kind of forgot it because I read so much. So I'm probably going to reread this entire series and then reread the spin-off series. Or maybe not reread this because they have a show. And who the main character, who is Percy Jackson, is the actor is Walker Scobell, and I have a major crush on him. So yeah. But this book is about this like troubled kid who keeps getting kicked out of school, and then the Greek mythology is really interesting. It's like wrapped all around in it, and then he learns that he has these powers. He goes to this camp with all these other kids who have powers, and then we like, and no spoilers, but it's super good. And I never learned all this. I never knew all about Greek mythology, but reading this book and this series and then the spin-off series, I learned so much. Walker Scobell, if you're watching. Anyway, this book is super good, and the ending of this book is so sad. Okay. My next book is called We Are Not Free. This is just an individual book, and this is nonfiction. It takes place in America during World War II. And if people who know American history, World War II started, America got involved in it because the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. So this book talks about it's numerous perspectives, and this book talks about how the Japanese Americans in America had to be taken to these camps, which was very like they were fighting for Jews who were in camps, but then they were putting people in their own country who were American citizens in camps. So it's very like hypocritical of them. But this book is really, really good. It's about 14 teenagers called We Are Not Free by Tracy Chi. So I would suggest this book if you're into more of a nonfiction, historical fiction, like kind of sad book. This book does get pretty sad, but it's really good. Those are all my books, my book reviews. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below if you agree with my reviews of the books. I mostly put all books that I liked, except The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I personally didn't like that book. I loved the movie though. But I think I just need to reread it because I was a little confused. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that like button. It helps me a lot. And you can go watch my other videos if you like. And let me know if you like this kind of like talking to you about books. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.